Let's do the biggest reading wrap up ever. Hey guys, what's up? It's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. If you've come back, thank you so much. Today is gonna be a little bit chaotic because I need to wrap up February, March, and April. And let's just relax because I didn't really read that much over these last 3 months, hence why I am putting them all in one video. Over the last 3 months, I've only read 8. And look, I know everybody reads at a different pace and that's absolutely fine and there is no race. For me personally, I am just used to reading probably around 8 to 10 books per month. So it was just a little bit strange for me. However, I think I finally kicked the reading slump. One of these books put me in the reading slump. I finally kicked the slump and I feel good going into May now. However, we do need to go through and talk about what I have read since I last spoke to you guys about my wrap-ups. I'm also going to be showing you guys my reading journal because I started doing a reading journal probably like midway through last year, and then it became way too hard to like go through and catch up and do all the books I read in the beginning of the year. Can we just ignore the angle grinding that's happening outside, please? Anyway, what I was saying was I decided to start fresh and do a journal this year. I won't be showing you guys like too much of what my January reads sort of looked like because we've already done the January reading wrap up, but I will be showing you guys what I've journaled since then. So without further ado, let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and let's get right on into the video. Let's go back all the way to February. The first book that I read in February was Mortgage of Convenience, and this was by Danny McLean. I was actually sent this by Danny, which was really, really lovely, and I really, really enjoyed this book. So this follows B. She's a very shy, up-and-coming writer. She's always wanted to be a writer, and she's felt as though her last few books sort of have been really lackluster and not really like hit the mark. So she decides to go back to her hometown, if you will, and she catches up with her brother and her brother's best friend, Sebastian. They end up getting talking, and he really wants to put a down payment on a house. He doesn't quite have the money for the deposit, so she says, you know what? Why don't I help you out and let's co-own this house together? So she helps him out with the payments and they start living together and co-own a house together. Now, this is really interesting too because Sebastian is an ex-spicy dancer. We've got some bisexual representation too coming from him. And I just loved this story so much. It was really sweet. It was really funny. It was really sexy. So I gave this book 4.5 stars and I think I gave it 2.5 chili spices. And the second book that I read in February was Nobody Puts Rom-Coms in the Corner, and this is by Catherine Freeman. Now, for any of you guys who do follow me on TikTok, I have a little story about how I came to find this book. I went to Sydney for a concert and I went to Dimmicks there, and this was on their like new romance table. I read the back and I thought it was such an amazing concept. So this is about 2 roommates who one night they get drunk, they're messing around, and they decide to recreate the lift from Dirty Dancing, which you can see is on the cover there. So they decide to recreate this lift, but they film it and then they go, let's just put it on TikTok. It goes viral, and then they decide, hold on, we can make some money from this. Why don't we start recreating iconic scenes from some of our favorite like romantic comedies? So from When Harry Met Sally and Ghost and Pretty Woman, you know what I mean? And funnily enough, these 2 characters are called Harry and Sally. So I thought this is going to be so slay, cute little rom-com fluffy vibes. I think that the concept was there, the execution was not, and I just was so annoyed because this FMC like had such high expectations. She goes, I just want my life to be like a rom-com, and she ended up settling for this guy. Settle for the bare minimum is what I got from her. So I gave this book 2.5 stars and I gave it 1.5 chili spices. Would not really recommend. Moving over to March, I got to read one of my really anticipated releases of this year, and it's Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. Now, for those who might not be familiar, H.D. Carlton is the author of The Cat and Mouse Duet, Shallow River, Does It Hurt, popular dark romance author, right? So this book here in particular is linked with The Cat and Mouse Duet. So this follows Molly. Now, if you've read The Cat and Mouse Duet, you'll know in Hunting Adeline, we get to see Adeline reading Molly's diary. So this book is about what's happened with Molly. This was, I can't explain to you guys how well H.D. Carlton writes her men and how literally I go feral. I hate blonde men. I hate blonde men. I hate buzz cuts. Tell me why I went feral over a blonde buzz cut man called Cage. I don't know, but she did it. She did it. because, oh my God, the spice delivers every time. Oh, I can't. Look, this is a novella, so it's quite small, but you know what? All my questions were answered. I got closure. I cried at the end. It was so beautiful. And you know what? Like, chef's kiss. I gave it 4 stars because it is a novella. I don't normally rate novellas higher than a 4 star, so it's perfect for me. 4 stars, and I gave this 3 chili spices because honestly, I can't. I forgot to show you guys my journals. Just quickly cutting in here, I'll show you my February journals, which we did. Mortgage of Convenience there, which is really cute. And Nobody Puts Rom-Coms in the corner. What I usually do for these, if they're below a 4.5, they get a 1-page spread. If they are like a favorite book and I love them so much, they get a double-page spread. So usually I do like a little Polaroid for them. I do some like aesthetic pictures to remind me of the book and like my rating and things. Where's Molly was obviously in March, and because I loved it so much, she got a double spread, which is really cute. I won't show you too much because it could be a potential spoiler, but that's like the reading journal. Okay, the last book that I read in March was one that I was being yelled at and harassed to read because it's very, very popular. It's a very popular series. So I said, okay, it's time to tackle it. I own all of the books. Why the hell not? So I read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. To describe this book to someone who has never heard of it before, I've heard people say it's like Gossip Girl vibes, but set in London. I've never watched Gossip Girl, so I can't tell you if that's accurate or not. Let's just say this is about a group of high society young adults, right, who get up to absolute chaos. Like, I felt like I was somewhat watching a reality TV show whilst reading this. Like, not that it's structured that way. It's just the stuff that went on in this book that reminded me of like, this stuff only happens to really rich people. So it follows Magnolia and BJ. They have this on again, off again relationship where they feel possessively attached to each other even when they're not dating each other. They don't like when they don't date each other. They don't like when they date other people. And it is the most toxic relationship I've ever read about. And I can do cheating trope. I can do miscommunication. This was not it. The other big problem I had with this is her friendship group, their friendship group are terrible people. That's all I'm going to say because I won't spoil it. But I just do not understand the hype. And I do have a lot of people telling me to read Daisy Hates, which is the second book. I just don't know. And I feel awful because I have the entire series next to me here. I've bought all the books and I don't think I'm gonna read them. I only pushed through and finished this because it is so wildly loved and I wanted to form a good opinion because, you know, sometimes books do turn around in the last 100 pages, last 50 pages, whatever. It just didn't. It got worse. It got worse. So this book I gave 1 star. I do not recommend. This book doesn't even have a spread in my journal. I'm probably going to do something similar to what I did to another book that I hated this year. And I'm probably going to put it in the trash like I did with this. Okay, we're going on to April, which I'm very happy. I am starting to get out of my slump now. I read some really anticipated books this month too. And just books that really made me remember why I love reading. And I think that's like the main thing. If you are ever struggling and find that you're in a reading slump, I think the biggest tip that I can say is go and reread a book that you love, for one, or go and read a book that you know is a type of genre, type of trope that you will love, because it will reignite your love again. The first book that I read in April was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Now, you guys know the Chestnut Springs series is one of my most favorite series in the entire world. Heartless is one of my Roman Empire books. So I pretty much eat up every single thing that Elsie Silver writes. I just love everything that she writes. This book here is set in a different city. It's Rose Hill. So we're not in Chestnut Springs anymore. And this one follows Ford and Rosie. So Rosie actually works in the city. She sort of comes back home to her childhood town and she starts working for her brother's best friend. His name is Ford Grant, who he is a billionaire. He owns a record company, but he's like one of those billionaires that doesn't show it off, and you wouldn't think looking at him that he is a billionaire. He just sort of started up this company and it took off. The one thing I will say about this book is a lot of people are talking about it as if it is a cowboy small town romance, and it's definitely not. I think it's definitely a small town, but it's billionaire. There's no cowboys in this. So if you're wanting cowboys, I would suggest either the Chestnut Springs or her other series, which I think is the Gold Rush Ranch series, if you want cowboys. But yeah, this is more billionaire, but it is single dad, which I really liked seeing. I also liked seeing that there is a older child for the single dad, which is really, really cool too. Every single time I read Elsie Silver, my feet are in the air. I am giggling. I am kicking my feet. I sped through this. I could not put it down. I think I read it in about a day and a half. The spice is always immaculate. The banter, the friendship groups, the found family. I am very excited to read the second one. I gave it 4.25 stars and 2.5 chili spices. Definitely recommend. And I really love my journal spread for this one here. So I have a little quote up the top. I've got some like aesthetic photos as well that remind me of the book. And I just really loved it. So yeah, because I was on a Elsie Silver kick, I decided to continue on with the Gold Rush Ranch series. God, that's hard to say. And I read Out of the Gate. This is like the second book, but it's a little novella. And it follows Ada and Dermot. This is an age gap, like forbidden type of vibes. It was only 100 pages, so I only gave it 3.5 stars. I think I gave it 2 chili spices or 2.5 chili spices. And this one I think I liked a little bit more too, because we've got like a rugged, grumpy MMC, and I think that's just my personal taste in bookmen. So yeah, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And of course the spread, very, very, very cute as well. The third book that I read in April was So You Swear by Megan Brandy. Now, this was on my TBR for ages, and it is very, very, very popular. Now, I don't know why I kept putting it off. For those who don't know, this book follows Ariana, or Ari, however you want to call her, and she has been in love with her brother's best friend since she can remember. So her twin brother and her have this beautiful group of friends. They've been friends since the beginning of like junior high. They're really, really, really close. Their parents are really, really, really close. So we start out with them at this summer beach house. Ari's trying to tell Chase, you know, how she feels before they go off to college, which conveniently they're all going to the same college. The tagline of this book is, "They say first loves last forever. I hope they're wrong." So it's very interesting how that starts out. Now, the tropes in this book are, it's a college romance, it's a sports romance, it is a love triangle. However, you don't really feel like it's a love triangle, right? And I cannot believe how quickly I read this book, how much I just like could not put it down. It's a big book. It's like over 500 pages. This is a book that as I was reading it, I thought, this is why I love reading. This is a book that made me like go, yeah, this is why I love being a reader and why I love reading. For me to think a book is absolutely perfect, there has to be an emotional element to it. I have to cry really for me to think that a book is perfect. And in the last tiny bit of this, it just gets you, right? And it honestly perfect. I gave this book 5 stars. I gave it 2.5 chili spices. I just cried so much, and it's like I can see this book in my head. Very summer vibes. I love it so much. Like honestly, new favorite, cannot recommend enough. And my little journal spread, because I just loved it. Do you like my little football? I tried to draw a football. It just didn't really go very well. And the final book, whee! The final book is here. I haven't done a spread up for it because I literally just finished it last night. I read it on my Kindle and it is Out on a Limb. So this is by Hannah Bonham Young. I actually haven't read anything by this author before. However, I have seen it floating around literally everywhere. So I thought, okay, we're on a roll. It's supposed to be really good. Let's pick it up. So this follows Winifred and Beau. They meet at a Halloween party one night. They have a one-night stand and things sort of go from there. This has really, really beautiful disability representation as well. There is representation in this book. I would definitely suggest checking your trigger warnings, but this is such a sweet book, a giddy book. I have to give a shout out to the side characters too, because Wynn's best friend Sarah was hilarious. I literally could read a whole book just about her best friend, and I wonder if she's ever written a book about her best friend because I loved her. But very, very funny, very, very sweet. The dialogue is very smart, very quick. It's emotional, it's heartfelt, and there's no third act breakup, which is my favorite thing ever. And I think that people should know that, because a lot of people love reading books and knowing that they don't have a third act breakup. So I gave this book 4 stars and I gave it 2 chili spices. Okay, you guys, we are up to date with the reading wrap-ups now, which is so exciting. I'm going to try do this format from now on where I show you the books, talk about the books, and show you my journal, because it keeps me accountable too, to make sure that I keep doing my journaling. This is so therapeutic, by the way. I like sit down, I'll be listening to maybe like some music or an audiobook, and I will do this, and it just like, it takes a couple of hours, but you know what? It's honestly, so can't recommend enough starting a reading journal. But I'm going to do that format from now on. How did you guys go in April? I'd love to have a chat about the types of books that you read. If you guys liked the format of today's video, I'd love some feedback too. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much again. Like I always say, if you'd like to follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, I will put my handles here, so feel free to check me out. But yeah, thank you guys so much again, wherever you are. I hope you're having a lovely day or a lovely night, and I will see you all next time. Bye.